are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Yourself?
Very well. What have you prepared for tonight?
Lots of new music, lots of heavy tracks, some new unreleased music from ourselves, and
I saw that you
I've not drank enough for this yet.
I saw that you have a new material, Dubstep Onslaught.
Yeah, so we did an exclusive track for that called Do You Remember When? That came out about a month ago, I think.
What can you tell us about this new material?
Well, this time around we've tried to go back to a bit of our older style a bit more, and steer away from the more commercial sound that's been dominating dubstep for the past sort of 2 or 3 years. We've tried to make it a lot more like the sort of noise, a lot more like the sounds we were making in kind of between 2010 and 2012.
It's more of a bit hardcore.
It's not deep and chilled. It's still hard, but it's just with more traditional sounds, I guess you'd say.
What do you think of the presence of dubstep and drum and bass into mainstream music?
I think it's a good thing. Drum and bass has been on the underground for years and years and years, and it's only really been in the past couple of years that it's seen any real sort of mainstream exposure of any great amount. Dubstep's a little bit behind that because obviously it sort of came through as a bit of a fad and it got quite big and it got fairly commercial, and now it's sort of ducked back into the underground a bit. So I think it's probably more likely these days that you would get a commercial drum and bass record than you would get a really commercial dubstep record that would be a hit.
Some say that dubstep was killed by its own popularity, and Skrillex styles had something to do with that.
I wouldn't say Skrillex has had anything. Skrillex revolutionised the dubstep scene. Skrillex had a huge influence on the music scene in general, and there's very little that you can hear, very little modern music you can hear today that doesn't in some way have an influence that it in some way doesn't have a Skrillex influence in it. He really has been that influential. I don't particularly think he's ruined anything. If anything, he's made it bigger and better for everybody else.
But dubstep was killed by popularity?
The commercial edge of it was killed by popularity maybe, but I don't think it's particularly dead. And the fact that I'm sort of over 1,000 miles away from home tonight to play here sort of hopefully proves that to some extent. But yeah, you know, I think everybody got a bit fed up of having it rammed down their throats, which is fair enough. And hopefully now it's just kind of a scene that people can enjoy when they go out.
How did you begin to produce music? How did you start your musical career?
At a young age, I guess. I don't know, just always had an interest in writing music. I always wanted to know how electronic music was written before I understood or knew how it was made. And then over the years, as you sort of slowly meet people, you figure it out and have a go at doing it yourself. When I first got into it, it was very hardware based because computers weren't really at the speed where they could handle in-the-box production. But within a few years of shortly after I got involved in writing music itself, computers got a lot faster and in-the-box production became the norm, which made it available to people like myself that didn't really have the funds to invest thousands in studio equipment.
What convinced you to follow this kind of career?
Well, it kind of reaches a point whereby it's so consuming that you've alienated yourself from all of your friends and your girlfriend, and the only thing that you're ever going to do is this. And like, I'm sure lots of other people would say this as well, but you put so much time and effort into it that it has to pay back, because otherwise you've just wasted the last 10 years of your life. So yeah, I don't know.
What advice will you give to a kid who wants to start a DJ producer career?
I'd say it's definitely important to focus on the producer element of it. There seems to be a wave of people at the moment that quote unquote want to be DJs, It doesn't really work like that. You need to have like a musical output for people to be interested in hearing what you're doing. So mostly that, focus on the production. The production is what's going to get you somewhere.
What's new in the British underground scene? What's the sound that you can hear in the London, UK basement?
At the moment, deep house. Everybody's really into deep house. But again, it's that commercial explosion of something new that everybody's really into. That will die down. There are genuine deep house musicians and genuine fans, but at the moment it is a new fad. As to what's going to come after that, I'm not really sure. And I guess if you could predict that, you'd be clever.
What's new? What's in the near future for Bar 9?
So we've got a track coming out just after Christmas, and then we're working on, or at the moment we're working on a new EP for release early next year. That's it, yeah. Other than that, gigging lots. We've got quite a lot of work on at the side. So we opened a label called Electric City. We've got a couple of releases coming out on that I think the first one's going to be coming out in March. We were going to do it earlier on in the year, but I think we decided to wait until spring because then there's a better chance of it carrying on throughout the summer. But I don't really want to give any details away as to what that is yet because it's going to be a surprise.
Where Bar 9 will gonna be in the next 5 years?
I think between the two of us, we'd like to make it more of a sustainable production career. So instead of running around here, there and everywhere, we spend more of our time in the studio. Because that is what I want to do, ultimately, is write music. That's my first love. So, yeah.
Message to all your fans in Romania?
I'm trying to think of a quote, but I can't think of one. I'm very grateful that I'm here. What I'd like to say, thank you very much for the support. If you think about it, when someone comes to see you at a show, they've heard about you previously, and then they've made the effort to contact their friends, and then they've made the effort to come out, and then they've made the effort to hand over their hard-earned money to come and see you play. And that's quite a big thing if you can move somebody enough to get actually off their arse and do something. So I think it's really touching that people come to see us play, period. So, yeah. Hello, this is Martin from Bar 9 and you're watching I Think I Like It on UTV. Yeah.